introduction, your name, where you're from, what you do, that type of stuff.
Sure. So my name is Joona Virtanen. I'm from Finland, where I'm staying currently, living. I study business in a year. I will graduate, get an MBA, and I also make YouTube videos. I focus on growing myself, self-development, all that cool stuff. Yeah, I'm a big outdoors guy. I love to do hiking, ice swimming, sauna is one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, and I'm 26 years old currently.
Oh man, 26?
Mm.
How come everyone on this podcast that I meet to is like always a decade younger than me? Because I'm 36.
Oh, you're 30.
So I'm 10 years older than you, man.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe when you compare our faces that you're 10 years older, man. No.
This is what I like about content creation and YouTube. It's kind of like a young person's game where a lot of the content creators are like late teenagers or in their early 20s. And whenever I talk to fellow creators, I always feel like the super old guy.
Really?
I'm like, man, yeah. It's like the people on this podcast that I've talked to. I've had people that are like 19, 21, 20. And I'm just like, man, I was in high school before they were even born. And it just kind of like blows my mind, right? But that's what social media is. It's sort of like this. It's more popular, I guess you would say, from the younger generation.
Sure.
Because especially coming from my perspective, right? Like who's 36 years old or 35, so in their mid 30s, and starting like a YouTube channel. That's kind of not a thing, right? It's kind of more younger kids who have time to do this kind of stuff. Whereas someone my age, it's more like you have a job, you have bills to pay, you have a mortgage, right? So a lot of people my age kind of get stuck, if you know what I'm saying.
You don't get to do fun things anymore. No. But I mean, you're right. And I would say that like the younger people, they totally have like social media way better figured out than we do. They're way more effective at using it. I'm out of all the TikTok trends. I don't know anything about that. I mean, but the biggest market is there if you like think in terms of money. But I would like, it's kind of funny that you're self-conscious about your age as you're a bit older than basically the typical, let's say, your channel type of content making creator. But from the outside looking at you, like you don't notice anything. Like,
oh yeah. Well, the age thing is weird because like all through my 20s, I had no ambition in life. I had no discipline. I literally had nothing. It was just playing sports, playing video games, and partying. There was no ambition. There was no goal. There was no dream. There was nothing. And I created a YouTube channel in like 2007. I think that's when my channel was created. So I've been on YouTube for like an extremely long time.
So you've made videos
and I used to post
since 2007?
Yeah, and they were like me playing basketball with my friends, me creating a Let's Play video game series. Like I did all kinds of crazy things that basically made no sense, right? And I always wanted to do YouTube. Like I always wanted to create content, right? But I never knew what niche to be in because I had no passion or dreams or ambitions in life. So I never really knew one particular topic to create content around, right? That's why I had a basketball video one week, and then I had a vlog, and then I had a StarCraft video. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? It's all over the place. And it wasn't until I was like 32, I think, where I sort of stumbled into self-development. And then it was weird because it clicked like that. It was something that I loved. And it was like I found my passion in life. But I found it a lot later in life than most other people, right?
Well,
and I was like, wow, this is so
sorry to interrupt you here, but I think most people probably never find their passion. Or if they do, they don't pursue it. So it's really great that you're doing this.
Mm-hmm. Like even for you, you said you're in
Mhm.
university studying
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
So was that something that you always wanted to do, or you just kind of like
No, no,
just settled
totally
for? Like
not.
how did
Yeah.
that work out?
It was just what made the most sense. I mean, I'm interested in it. Uh, I do have the business side in me, and it's one of the things I want to do in the future. But it has never been a passion for me or anything like that. And I've kind of always felt a little bit uh, like an outsider at the school, not in the sense that like I have friends and all that there, and we've had great parties, all that stuff. But in a way, it's I've always seen people there who are just so much more natural in there than me. Um, but I find very very interesting that you sort of for a long time you try to look for what is the one thing that you want to do. What is the niche that you could be in? Because personally, I'm currently make videos, and it's sort of in the self development area also. But I'm not sure whether that's really my thing. Like I'm totally still in the I don't know what my channel is going to look like in 1 year, 2 years. But I also want to figure that out.
Hmm. Well, do you have like a passion for film or videography or cameras or anything like that, or is it just like kind of something you just do on the side for fun?
Uh, yeah, I don't know. Like I don't, yeah,
That's
I
okay.
don't know if I have any passions. Like I have, it's probably the same with most people. I have many interests. I'm interested in tech, in sports, in business, but the thing why I chose to do this is because I love creative work. It doesn't matter what form it is. Uh, in the past, I've made music just because I really enjoyed it and it was fun. I also do enjoy video creation a lot, but basically, I could be a writer in the future, and I would probably enjoy that just as much as making videos.
Oh, okay, I see. So you're into like the whole creative element of content creation, not just like the
Yes,
video
yes,
side.
totally. Right now, it's just I'm picking this one to focus in because I cannot do any like everything. Like I don't have time. So in the future, I will for sure write. I don't know if I'll ever get back to music, but we will see. But can I ask you
Well,
a
that's
question?
interesting. Yeah, man,
So
go ahead.
like you said, you always knew that you wanted to make videos. Why do you think that is? Like, was it just this kind of voice that came from a deeper part of yourself? Like, how would you describe it?
I'm not entirely sure how to describe it, but the best way the best way I can kind of paint this picture is when YouTube came out back in the day, right? It was like this horrible pixelated 480p resolution website where everyone was just putting up videos of random things, of people going to the zoo or people at a party or people in the park. It was just like all this completely random stuff. And I was always someone that enjoyed looking at experiences and I always enjoyed memories, right? And I just loved the platform for whatever reason. And the biggest problem that I had that I didn't know at the time was that I have this perfectionism in me where if I'm not creating something that's of amazing quality, then I just hate it. I absolutely hate it. And what I did was I had this like point and shoot 5 megapixel Canon camera, and that's what I was using to make these random YouTube videos. I'd put it on in the gym on the bench, hit record, and my friends would play basketball, and I'd use Windows Movie Maker, I think, and then make like this super cheesy edit that was garbage. I'd upload it, and then a week later I'd watch it, and I'd be like, "Wow, this is horrible. This is the worst video I've ever seen in my life," and I would just delete it. Right. So I had years of I kind of wanted to do this thing, but I didn't really know how serious I wanted to do it. But it wasn't until like a couple years ago I bought like a mirrorless camera, like a true camera that can record like 4K footage, like this really beautiful picture. And that's when I kind of realized like that would satisfy my perfection for quality. And that was a thing that was kind of holding me back, where, you know, I'm a type of person that when I do something, I put my best effort in 100%. It's either I'm all the way in or I just quit and I don't do it at all. I can't do anything halfway. And this is why I kind of had to quit video games, because when I would play a video game, I couldn't just play it for fun. I'd have to play it to be the best. I wanted to be, you know, the highest ranked player, or had the most points or kills or score or whatever, right? And the YouTube journey was like this super slow progress. And it wasn't until like recently where I was like, oh man, just the camera can satisfy my perfection for quality. And then I realized like I wanted to do this creative stuff like all along. And like you said, you enjoy like the creative aspects, right? And when I grew up, I used to play piano, so I was into music. And then this whole YouTube thing, it kind of forced me to write. Like, and I was never a writer. I was someone who always did horrible at English. I never wrote good essays or told good stories. I was just terrible. But every day I just started writing in Google Docs, and, you know, just writing scripts for YouTube videos. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, I love writing. I can just write for 2-3 hours every morning. And the whole YouTube journey just, it kind of all came together for me recently, when all these things, all these external things satisfied all my needs, you know, to create content that I loved and create content that I thought was good enough. And that was when I finally like, okay, I know now what I want to do. It's not this super random vlogs and basketball videos anymore.
Well,
right?
that's great to hear. Well, but yeah, you also had to go like through years of uncertainty and not knowing what you want to do and all that. And I think that's a critical part of the whole process, because most people never find their passion, right? Like you're very, very lucky if you know from a young age what you want to do in life. So that's really great to hear that you finally found what you want to do.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard to find that thing that you know that clicks, you know, that gives you that drive. And this is why I like to talk to other content creators, especially like young kids. Well, not young kids, I shouldn't say that, but like young adults, right? It's like if you can find what you're passionate about at an early age, it's so, like, you have no idea how valuable that is. Because like later in life, you get caught up in the 9-to-5 workplace, you get caught up in mortgages and bills, and you don't have that time to pursue creative endeavors that, you know, that might trigger you finding your passion, right? And it's just so hard to find that. And I always, whenever I talk to anyone that's younger than me, I always like, if you're not bogged down with having a huge mortgage or student debt or loans or credit card bills or all that type of stuff, if you have time available, go out there and try things. Like, I never knew I loved videography. I never knew I loved writing or storytelling. But if you just had the time to go and try it, right, then you can just like find this thing that you love, and it's like the greatest feeling in the world.
Totally.
I don't know how else to describe it.
If I one day have kids, that's the biggest thing I will teach them, is to build things, create things. Don't be just a consumer, be active, not passive. Like today it's so easy not to do like anything in your life. There's all this entertainment screaming at you from all these directions, and yeah, but it's hard at a young age when all your peers are basically just enjoying life and not really taking anything seriously. It's hard to be that person who goes after their dreams, or at least wants to improve. I mean, I'm kind of also like, I started this whole self-development thing probably like, let's say 5 years ago, but really like 2 years ago. Like, I stopped drinking pretty much, started really building good habits, meditation, all that. and it's been really great. Like that has been the biggest thing for my happiness, where I'm a lot happier than back in those days. Even though on the surface it might have looked that my life was more fun before, but yeah, I don't know where I'm getting at with this whole story, but yeah.
No, I hear you. Like when you started the whole self development stuff, like what was that trigger? Were you unhappy with how your life was, and you were like, you know what, I got to get rid of the alcohol. I got to start going into the was it the Finnish sauna or whatever? That's so cool. Or the ice bath. Like, what was the trigger that kind of got you into this
Well,
whole realm of self development?
it was probably nothing external. It was more that I wanted to get rid of the internal laziness. Like, I wasn't happy with myself, with the way I was spending my free time. Because like, if you don't do anything, you just play video games, watch TV series, like, of course you're gonna feel like shit like afterwards. That's pretty self-explanatory. So I don't think there was really one trigger to start it. It's more like a process, like building slowly, and kind of trying to be better every day. One thing I think that I've been really into lately is I read this book by Kamal Ravikant, which is called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. And when I read it, I realized, like, I don't know if I've ever really loved myself. Like, I haven't hated myself. I haven't, or anything like that. But I've had a lot of grudges against myself in all stages of life. And I think it's very important to, like, it's almost self-explanatory when you say it out loud. But I think so few people even have that figured out. Like, they can truly look at themselves in the mirror and be okay with what they see. So basically what I do now is every day in the morning, I'm repeating to myself that I love myself, I am happy, all that stuff. And it's been a game changer. Like, I was very skeptical when I started doing it, but it has been great.
No, that stuff for sure 100% makes a huge difference. And it seems like some kind of like woohoo nonsense bullshit that people will say, like, oh, you're doing affirmations in the morning, or you're telling yourself positive words, or you're meditating, and they say that they think that it doesn't matter, but the things that you surround yourself in your everyday life, and the things that you listen to, and the people that you hang out with, and the people you talk to, and the information you take in, that makes a huge impact on who you are as a person. And even though some people may not believe in those things, right? I always like to use this like analogy to people. I'll ask my friends, like, oh, do you have a goal of where you want to live, for example, right? And everyone's like, oh yeah, I want to like live in a house. And I'm like, okay, where? Oh, somewhere nice. I'm like, okay, do you have a city? Do you have a street? Like, do you have a town? Like, do you know where? And the answer is always no. No one ever really knows, right? But when I do for something like that, I think like I know the exact city, the exact town, the exact streets of like where I want to live. And so like if you surround yourself with very specific information that can get you towards that goal, it makes a huge impact not only on you mentally, but like subconsciously your body just starts to do things. If you know where you want to be, right? Like say you want to get to point Z or whatever, right? And you're at point A. If you don't have a goal in mind of where you want to go, then how do you know what point B is, or point C, or point D, right? You don't know what those intermediate points are. But if you are practicing like positivity in the morning, affirmations, and working on your morning routine, this will make a huge impact on your life in the long run. Because in this like this weird thing where negativity breeds more negativity. Like, you know, when you hang out with people that are just always negative, like that stuff, for whatever reason, it just like brushes up on you, and you absorb it and you become like them too. And this is where in the self-development niche, I try to distance myself from people that are like that. And I believe 100% in the whole, like mindset, mental health, affirmations and all those type of things, because it kind of gets ingrained in your mind, right? If you believe you're a happy person, if you're going to live a happy life, if you're going to do great things, and every day you remind yourself, I am happy, I am wealthy, I am wise, or whatever the affirmation is, right? Then you're kind of you're sort of setting yourself up to live a life that's exactly like that. Whereas someone who wakes up and like, oh, I got to go to work today, the traffic is bullshit, it's raining outside, they're just setting themselves up to live a horrible and miserable life, because that's what they're telling themselves every day in the morning. And I know that it does seem weird, but I believe like 100% that can make a huge difference in a person and how they act and behave in the long run.
I mean, it's when you you don't even have to believe the things that you're telling yourself at first, but over time you will start believing them, because what happens is you basically enhance the neural pathways where the thoughts are. So like you said, when you hang out with negative people, you become like them because you take in all this negative input from them, and that really takes over your life. It's kind of like a compound interest thing, where it's just the happier thoughts you're able to do, then you're again able to go to the next level and the next level. And on the contrast, it can spiral down really quickly if all you do is complain or basically think that your life sucks, right? So yeah, if anyone is listening that hasn't tried those things, I would highly recommend to do it.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. And it's like that old saying, like, hang out with nine losers and you'll soon be the 10th, right? That's exactly what's going on, right? If you surround yourself with people that are negative and hate the world, then you're just going to become exactly like them, right? You may not think that that's the case, but it happens so often that our environment affects us like in such a huge way in the long run. And I'm not talking about like you hang out with a bunch of losers and next day you're going to be like them. No, this takes a long period of time, but this is what's going to happen if you don't, think positive thoughts or, want to live a good life. And this is perfectly, sure. I perfectly see this when I'm at work. Like I work a normal day job
I know.
For FedEx, which is like a courier company. I don't know if FedEx is in Finland. Yeah, like huge company, right? And I'm a courier, so I drive like a truck. And it's not the most glamorous job, right? It's basically like kind of like a shitty job. Like who wants to drive around a dirty old truck and deliver boxes, right? But, this was the consequences of my decision for dropping out of university, right? So this is, I've come to grips with that. This is I'm in this position in my life because of the choices I made when I was younger. I understand that. But when I talk to my coworkers, they're just miserable. They just hate their life. Work sucks. There's too much income tax. The government is not providing enough jobs, and all these like excuses for why they aren't doing well in life. And I always ask them like, what are you going to do about it? So what do you do after work? Do you go home and try to learn a new skill or a new trade, or do you taking courses, or are you trying to do anything? And the answer is always no. It's, I went to the bar, watched the hockey game. I went on a Netflix binge marathon or whatever, right? And I'm always like, if you are unhappy with where you are, the biggest and most important thing is do something about it. Do something about it. And so often people just come up with excuses. And what I've noticed is that people are so good at coming up with reasons why they can't do something that I could be like, hey man, I had a friend who was kind of overweight, I guess you would say, and he wanted to lose weight. And I'm like, dude, where do you live? And he told me where he lived, and it was like 10 minutes from me. I'm like, perfect. you want to go to the gym? I work out 5 days a week. And he's like, oh, yeah, maybe on New Year's or something. I'm like, no, like forget New Year's now. Like this weekend, what are you doing? Let's go, right? And I'm like, where do you live? What time do you wake up? I'll pick you up. Like I'll drive to your house. I'll pick you up. I'll take you to the gym. You can train with me and then I'll drive you home. Like I'm making it so easy for you. And he's like, this excuse, that excuse, maybe after the Christmas holidays and let's do it January 1st. And I'm like, all right, man, fine. Like, okay, January 1st. So January 1st comes around, more excuses. Let's wait till, let's wait till March break or something. March break comes, more excuses. And it's just this like perpetual, like, excuses that they make for not wanting to do the hard thing. And I've tried so hard to help this guy because this is someone that, I genuinely appreciate, and he's a friend and I want to see him do better in life, right? But it's like sometimes that mental block is so hard, for people that it doesn't really matter what you do.
Totally.
They're
totally.
just never going to change their ways.
People are masters at lying to themselves. Like, it's crazy. There's this quote that goes something like, that you should basically most watch out for yourself lying at you. And that's kind of like, and people don't want to face reality, right? That guy who should go to the gym, who should lose weight, doesn't want to come to grips with it. He'll put it off to tomorrow, to next week, to next month. And it's always this, I will do it when there's better time. But I think really like now or never is basically true, because like you can always reason to yourself that you're going to do it tomorrow, but then you're again just going to then tell yourself that you're going to do it tomorrow. Because why shouldn't you? Because you already put it off. You have no self-respect. Like, you don't take care of yourself, because if you would, you would have already done it. So you don't want to face that reality. And yeah, it's a shame. And I think it's like all of us go through this in some things, on some levels, but other people just more than others. But these are the kind of things that thankfully you can learn and fix.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing that I've learned from this is that, as much as some of my friends and people that I love, I want to be there for them. I want to be a good friend. There comes a point where I need to just stop wasting my time, right? I need to surround myself with people that are more like-minded or better, like specifically better than me, and think about things in a way that I can resonate and learn from. And, it sounds really bad, like you're abandoning your friend, like you're giving up on them. But there comes a point where you can't let those people drag you down, right? And this has been a really tough decision that I've had to make recently, where, a lot of my friends are, I wouldn't say critical of what I'm doing, but they're always like what's the point of all this stuff? How come you don't come out to the bar anymore with us? How come you won't come out to the restaurant to watch the basketball game and, and eat chicken wings and drink beer? Like, these are all things I used to do with all my friends, right? Like, we would go out, we would have like these amazing times, in a social setting. And I was like, I've reached a point in my life. And again, this is why age is very important, or why I think age is very important. Like, at 36, I've already wasted way too many years, like way too many. And I'm always like, how many more good years do I have left, right? So I am going to put my best effort in with whatever time I have left. And it's not that, those people are being left behind. It's more like their unwillingness to keep up, right? And so I've come, this is a hard thing to admit, because, your friends are very important too, right? And I've kind of reduced that circle of friends that I keep in contact with and communication with, because I want bettering my life is something that is so important to me, especially now that I'm a new father. My daughter is 17 years old, and this was like a life.
I was wondering for a second.
17 months. Oh my god, 17 months. 17 months old. Yeah. So this is like a huge life-changing event, because now my needs as a human being are superseded by my daughter. My daughter is the most important person, right, in my life. So what's more important? Me spending the weekend to better my life and better my living situation, to do better as a father, or hang out and watch the hockey game with my friends, right? Like there's priorities here. And I know it's hard. It's hard to say no to the alcohol. It's hard to say no to the drinks or the late night Call of Duty games, because those things are so much fun, right? That's like some of like the best memories you have, like playing video games back in the day with your friends. Like that stuff is awesome. But at the end of the day, we only have so much time on this earth, and I'm trying my best to not waste any more of these years.
I think the inner voice you have is a great critic of how much you should spend time with friends, how much you should spend time hanging out with them at the bar, because like you said, that stuff is so much fun, but it's not fun if you do it every evening. So then you're going kind of have to go, okay, so how often should I do this that I maximize the fun that I'm going to have in my life, or at least minimize the misery, because it's going to make you miserable if you do it every day. But like the thing is that Tim Urban has a great blog post about this on procrastination, but when this is a huge problem for many people, like when you should get down to work, then when you have the option of doing the short-term fun thing, the temptation is huge to go on it, to take it. This is something I've been really battling for the, last couple of years, because I've also wanted to do my work, focus on myself and all that stuff. But I think I'm kind of starting to find answers. But I think and this kind of links to the whole, like the guy who doesn't exercise even though he knows he shouldn't. Like, he's not listening to himself. He's not giving his real thoughts space, because he doesn't want to face reality. And listening to yourself is very critical. If you're always going to the bar, like, you don't have time to think about what you really want to do. You don't have time to kind of find that inner peace from where you can start building something meaningful and kind of build a life that looks like you. Like, everyone goes to the bar, everyone watches sports, but that's not you. That's not a representation of your personality. Like, it's really great that you're questioning these things and kind of consciously not spending all the time that's available with friends.
Yeah, it's also kind of different because a lot of my friends, they put in the work when they were younger, right? Almost all of my friends went to university and they either got some type of degree in computer science, engineering, economics. Like, all of my friends are extremely educated and they have good jobs. That's because they put in the work from when they're like 18 to 22, right? So for them, now is the time to enjoy life, I guess. They put in the hard hours at school to get a degree. They got a good paying job, right? They're comfortable. So now let's enjoy life. Whereas me, I'm a complete aberration from my group of friends. I am the most unsuccessful and the most uneducated by far. I have no post-secondary education. The furthest I went was finishing high school. And that's it. I tried college 3 times, dropped out all 3 times, went to university once, dropped out, and I also tried some other, some certification program. I didn't finish that either. So education is something that I've tried, but I've failed in over and over and over again. And for all my group of friends, you know, it's like, hey, let's go out and do this. And it's like, you know, guys, like I can't, you know, I've failed so much in my life and I'm not at that point where you guys are at now, right? So I'm not trying to be condescending or talk down on people that don't share the same beliefs in me, but it's the fact that my path in life is so much different than theirs, right? Than the typical people that I spend time with, where, you know, our priorities are extremely different. Like, say for example, you know, say you finish university, you get a degree, and you might get, I don't know, like a decent, well-paying 9-to-5 job that has benefits and a pension. You know, so that's pretty good, right? Like you're pretty much set as long as you don't get fired or lose that job until you're 65 and can retire, right? So you can live a fairly comfortable life. You can afford to go to the bar on the weekends and buy tickets to the basketball game or the hockey game or the football game. But what about for someone like me who has no education, that works a job where I'm just like driving a truck, right? Delivering boxes. Like what about that type of person? Well, if you want to better your life, you got to get to work now. Like you got to put in the effort now, because or else nothing is going to happen for you, right? And it's this idea of procrastinating your life away when you're younger. You're going to face the consequences when you're older. And these are the consequences that I'm facing right now in my life, where I'm like, okay, I've had enough of being like a scrub, right? It doesn't feel good to be the least educated, the least successful person of all your group of friends, right? It's a horrible feeling to have, because my friends will be talking about like tech stuff and they're buying Bitcoin and all this like cool things. And I'm like, I went to the gym this morning. It's like, it's so awkward, right? You know what I mean? There's this huge disconnect. So, but I think it's important to realize that even if you went through life like I did, through kind of like a hard path, you can always do something about it. And this is like what I try to preach as much as I can. You can always do something. You can always make tomorrow better, make next week better, make next month better. You can always just do something if you just take action now, right? And it's this idea of taking action and doing uncomfortable things that a lot of people unfortunately will avoid.
Fairly so, like, who wants to do uncomfortable things, right? And I think like there are some people who are just always basically content with their life, like no matter what job they have. Like they don't have aspirations for building something or moving forward with your career, and that's totally okay. But like I said before, when there is that inner voice that's kind of pushing you forward, you should definitely pay attention to it, because like if you keep pushing it in the background and not giving it space, it will hit you a lot harder in the future. But so what does, like you said, your friends are successful, like they can enjoy their life now. So what does success look to you? When would you be in a similar situation?
Well, success is a weird word because usually it's associated with money, right? Like having money. And it took me a while to figure this out, but for me, success is time. Like time is this resource that I value so much. I want to spend my time on doing things that I love and doing things that, you know, ignites this passion inside of me and it makes me happy. And even if I were to make $30,000 and just barely get by, but I could spend all my time doing creative things that I love to do, like that would be the happiest and best life I could ever live. So success for me is just kind of making enough money so that I can just do the things that I love. Whereas for most of society, especially here in North America, success is sort of like getting a really high salary, hopefully in the $70,000 to $100,000 range, you know, buying a house in a nice community and starting a family, and then, you know, being financially stable until retirement. You know, that is a successful life for most Canadians, right? Whereas I'm like, if my YouTube channel could make $2,000 a month, and I could just pay my bills and not have to buy any designer clothes, or I could just keep my same used car, I would be so happy. Like I would just love. I would love every day if I could just do that. I don't care if I couldn't buy a new pair of Nike shoes, or I couldn't buy a PlayStation 5 or all that type of stuff. I wouldn't care. If I just had the time to do what I loved, like that would be like the greatest success in my life. So that is something that I'm trying to strive towards. And it's kind of a weird mentality to have, because I've talked about this with my parents, and they've sort of been like, why are you setting the bar so low? Right? Like wouldn't you want to get a job that makes six figures, like $100,000 a year? Like, wouldn't you want to be like, successful financially? And it's like this weird contradiction where like your version of success isn't the same version of my success, right? That word, it can be subjective based on who you ask, right? And I'm trying to be, I'm trying to be really open-minded when it comes to this topic, because some people ask me how I spend my time, and what do I love to do in this life. And it could vary greatly between what I do or what my friends do or what like your neighbor does. And I think the most important thing to realize is that everyone in this world is different, right? We all have a completely different path, right, towards that success, right, to find that success in life. But I think it's just time, man. The simple answer is just time. Like I just wish I had the free time to do like this, like stuff like this. If I could do like a podcast every day and just talk to interesting people, man, it'd be the best life ever.
Mean, I think that's a great answer, and I totally agree with you. If I think about it, it's like basically the same thing said differently. It's being more like myself, being the most myself that I can be. And the only way to do that is to spend time doing the things you love, the things you would do anyways if you didn't need money, if money wasn't a thing, right? So yeah, totally agree with you on that.
Like what would you do is what would you do if, say, you finished your school and you got your degree in business, right, and you got like a job that paid really well, and what would you do with that financial
that's
freedom?
Like totally
like what would you pursue more creative
right
things
now.
Like what would you do with that?
And I'm actually a little bit terrified of the whole graduation thing because that's a point when I'm actually going to have to start figuring life out. Like, fair to say, I'm doing it already, doing my best at it, but that's when I need to do something. What I will end up doing first, probably, is I think I will go travel, maybe Asia. I'm learning Chinese, so I want to be fluent in that. Sure. I'm also interested in consulting, but
Oh wow.
truth to be told, like if let's say I was financially independent, like I did not have to show up anywhere on a regular basis, I don't know if that would make me happy. Like I think like a corporate life on some level would probably be the best for me, because, and it's weird to say since I'm making YouTube videos, but I don't enjoy that much working with myself. Like, I love the creative work, but when I need to grind like monotonous editing or like anything like that, it's all very dull. On the other hand, I love to work with other people, so most likely it's probably like a combination of different things. Let's say 20-30 hours a week having a real job, and then the other time I could pursue other things I want to do.
Oh, that makes sense.
Hmm.
I always wondered, what is the corporate world like in Finland? Because here in North America, it's very
Really?
Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Well, actually, it's not 9 to 5 anymore. It's 9 to 5:30 now. So it's very Monday to Friday. Yeah, 9 to 5:30, and also like company cell phone, take it home on the
Sure.
weekends. Like it's very
Well,
demanding. Like
I said it
what is
probably a
work
bit
life balance like
wrong.
in
Like I don't
Finland?
mean
I'm always interested.
like a classic 9 to 5 grind. Uh, Actually, I'm currently working at a bank, so I'm kind of in it right now. But it's a lot like it's not as bad as in like North America, no way, or London or anything like that. Like people spend crazy hours working, uh, from what I hear over there. We actually have it like pretty well. Of course, there are the high paying, high competition jobs like consulting, banking, all that where you're expected to put in more hours or at least like work really hard. But things are actually like really well here. And our prime minister is currently, I think she has spoken about a 6 hour workday. Personally, I don't, yeah, it sounds very cool, but from a economical standpoint,
Oh, that's
I think
cool.
it would be a disaster. But yeah, that's interesting that you guys added like 30 minutes to the 8 hours. Really? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense either.
Yeah, and it's 30 minutes unpaid. It's like an unpaid lunch. Yeah. So not only, yeah, it's like not only working 9 to 5, you work 9 to 5:30, but you're only
Yeah.
getting paid for 8 hours because you that half an hour lunch that you have to take by law, it's unpaid. And in Canada, it's actually a little bit better than the US because I think in the US you get like maybe 2 weeks vacation tops. And if you have like a child, they have like almost what 4 weeks maternity leave or like 2 months maternity leave or something, which is terrible.
Oh,
So for
yeah.
us, in terms of work, you can get jobs where you get like 2 and up to 6 weeks vacation. So
Oh,
like the
okay.
vacation time here is decent, and the maternity leave for us is 18 months. So in some ways, it's pretty good. But I'm interested in Finland
Mm.
because a lot of our politics here, they always talk about learning from the Scandinavian countries. And it's something about like Finland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and all you guys up there where you kind of have this idea of work life balance better figured out. Whereas here, when I say 9 to 5:30, that's not even the whole day. Like you got to leave your house at 8 to get through the crazy rush hour traffic it takes you to get to Toronto. And there's also this expectation of you got to show up at 8:45 and you start working for free. And it's like if you don't do that, oh, you're not showing dedication to the company. So you're not starting at 9. You're starting at 8. So if you start at 8, you probably got to wake up at like 7, right? And then if you finish at 5:30, it's the same thing. Driving in rush hour home probably takes like an hour, so you get home at 6:30. So your day in reality is 8 to 6:30. So it's 10 and a half hours, right? So that's extremely draining on people here. And it's like, okay, so that's 10 and a half hours. Maybe you sleep for 8, so that's 18 and a half. So you got what, 5.5 hours left? So, you got to cook, you got to have dinner, take a shower, I don't know, clean the house, and then your day's done. Like there's no more time left for you to do anything, really, right? And this is this horrible idea that North America doesn't have any work-life balance. And it's kind of like a big problem that we have here. And this is why a lot of people, are so stressed, right? Because the corporate North America, it's just become so demanding. And even a lot of these positions that are like 9 to 5 or whatever, they're not considered full time. A lot of companies will hire temporary. They'll call you like a temporary full time. So you get paid 40 hours of work, but because you're like a temporary employee, you don't get the full benefits. You won't get the pension, or you won't get the dental, right? And it's like all these sneaky things that companies are doing up here to try to save money. And it's always this idea of we need to learn more from the Nordic countries. And I'm like, well, what do you guys do? I'm like, well, what,
Yeah,
like, what are we going to learn from? Like,
I have no idea.
it's
like,
always interests me. So that's when I found out you were from Finland. I was
you,
like, oh, I wonder what it's like up
like
there.
that sounds horrible. That your day is like 10 hours, like really, especially if you have children. I mean, afterwards you don't have time for much else. But like, I don't know. Like, I think we've been able to be, as countries in Scandinavia, become like decently wealthy. Like, well, Norway is of course very very wealthy, but like, I don't know why we've had like successful tech companies, all that. And the thing is, like, probably the biggest factor is that there aren't that many people in here. So it's sort of easier to kind of control. But on the other hand, there are a lot of small population poor countries in the world as well. So I don't know, but like I think 8 hours is probably like an optimal time. If you would say spend any amount of time working per day to maximize the results you get, but minimize the kind of draining things on your happiness, on your mental health, all this. I think 8 hours is actually pretty good. But if it starts to get over it, like, I don't think it's good.
Yeah, another big problem that we have here is this idea of salary, of being paid a salary instead of being paid an hourly wage. So, for example, like I have a friend, like I'll say friend of a friend, and she graduated with a computer engineering degree, I think, or computer something in engineering, and she was working for a bank like you, but in their IT department, I think, making really good salary, like 100,000 or 150,000 a year or something. So really respectable job, and this was a salary, right? So it's $150,000 per year, and I was like, oh, that's wicked, right? And she's like, no, it's horrible, and I'm like, really? Why? And she's like, well, the work day is Monday to Friday, like 8 to 6. Plus, I have a company phone that I have to take with me on home on Saturdays and Sundays. And I'm like, what? So you're working 7 days a week? And she's like, yeah. And then we don't get paid extra for the Saturday and Sunday because I'm on like salary, right? So it doesn't matter how many hours you work. So I'm like, how many hours do you work then a week? And she's like, 60, 65. And I'm like, holy shit, 65 hours a week? Right? So that's even way worse than a 9 to 5. But then again, these companies pressure you with this nonsense of like you're not dedicated to the vision of the company, right? If you refuse a company phone, or if you refuse to help out on the weekends, you're not a dedicated employee. And this idea is it's terrible. And I wish there was a way that people could get away from this kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that all companies are like this. Of course, there are a lot of great business opportunities here as well. Like, for example, my job, we get paid hourly. And if you do work on like a Saturday and Sunday, they'll pay you time and a half. They'll pay you overtime, right, for spending your time to come in on the weekend. So, that's fair, right? That's good. But these jobs where people get stuck with a company phone.
You're
never
really better
escaping your work.
That work.
It's just coming home with you all the time.
Or else
that can't
you're
be
going
good
to
for
be
your
miserable.
mental health, right?
For sure. I think it was Jeff Bezos who said that the work-life balance is not a balance,
Yeah, exactly,
it's a loop.
right?
So if you're happy at work, you go happy home. If you're happy at home, you go happy to work. And I think that's really true. If you work too much and the days are too long, you're not going to be happy at home. And then you're going to go to work unhappy. So that's sort of a different way at looking at it. Oh yeah.
Man, that guy has a horrible reputation here in our community. Bezos. Yeah. Oh my God. Because we have, especially where I live, there's two massive Amazon warehouses, maybe like 5 minutes from me. Like two huge, like football field sized warehouses. And I don't know how big Amazon is in Finland, but over here it's become like the US where everyone orders stuff on Amazon. And the people here that work for Amazon, there's all these horrible stories in the news of them like pretty much being abused at the workplace. Not like physically, but there's stories of like guys saying they have to pee in a water bottle because they have to deliver so many packages per hour. And it's like, what? And there's like all these human rights violations over here. Yeah, it's really bad. Amazon has like a terrible rap right now. Especially in the US and in Canada too. It's like the way they treat their employees, it's disgusting. And there was this thing that came out that said they were only hired for like 3 years max at a time because there was this idea that employees get lazy and complacent after 3 years.
Really
so they
weird
would just fire them and hire someone new.
Like Amazon places the customer
on.
experience over everything else. Like they treat their customers really well. I had a kind of sort of book. I ordered some books from Amazon, and there was a bit of hassle there, and they handled it so well that I was really impressed. So it's really weird that they mistreat their employees so badly.
Yeah, they're the same here. The customer experience is amazing. Like if you get a package delivered and someone leaves it on your front porch and it gets stolen, right? A lot of the times you tell Amazon they'll give you your money back or they'll give you a refund or they'll send you something new. Like they're very good with the customer. But like the stories that I've read in the news about how the employees are treated, it's terrible. Like people having to shit in a bag and stuff. I'm like, what? That's so crazy. Like there's all these like human rights violations that's happening over here right now. And again, they're getting these people that are working for Amazon. It's this idea of a temporary position where you're just getting, a job for a year or two. You're getting a 40-hour-a-week paycheck, but you don't have a pension or you don't have like all these other long-term benefits that a company should provide a person to make a full-time living, right? And I don't know, Amazon's in this weird predicament over here where they're getting a lot of negative publicity. Now again, I'm this is from a person from the outside looking in, so I don't know any of the details. But as a courier myself, I know exactly that need to deliver packages. And it's not as easy as you think. Like you might go to work and they'll give you a truck and it's full with like 200 boxes, right? And you got to deliver all that in like 8 hours. Like good luck. 200 boxes, like how, you got to drive like no seatbelt, over the speed limit, like never turning your car off, just grabbing the box, jumping out the door, throwing it, jumping back in the car, driving. Like you're not parking your vehicle properly. You're not wearing your seatbelt. Like it's so dangerous, right? But if you don't do that, you can't meet that work expectation of delivering everything. Now FedEx they actually treat our employees well, right? And they give us a reasonable amount of work to do. So I have no complaints there.
I think
but
you
Amazon,
could draw
it's
like an analogy from
it's not like
delivering all these packages to like
it's crazy.
Creating YouTube content, right? Because like for me, it's a huge problem that I overspend time on unimportant things. But if I would always have this rush to deliver, to put content out, like surely I would put out more content and get more results. But on the other hand, it would probably make me a little bit unhappier. What are your thoughts on this? How to deliver more? Yes.
Yeah, see, this is a discussion between quality versus quantity, right? Like again, if there was this pressure on, say, me and you to put out 2 YouTube videos a week, that's a lot. Like imagine filming, editing, and posting 2 YouTube videos a week, especially for the self-development stuff that we do, because there's so much research that goes on, right? And if I'm sure I could do it, I could get it done, but what would the quality be like for those videos? It would probably be shit, right? You would have no time to put in some nice edits or film some other B-roll shots that are related to your subject. Like it would just be like a talking head, quickly going over whatever subject you're talking about, editing it, posting it, and going on to the next one. So like I feel like when you focus on quantity, the quality is going to suffer. And this is part of the whole thing with Amazon. And it's like, yeah, okay, these guys are delivering, these so many packages per day, but where are they leaving them? Are they even like looking at the right house number? Like I've had boxes delivered in the bush, boxes delivered to my neighbor across the street, like all over the place. I'm like, what the heck? But then I get it because they're put under pressure to rush. But then you see that the quality of the work suffer, right? And that's something that it really gets me, because I have that stupid perfectionism thing in the back of my mind where if I'm not producing something of quality, then I just hate myself. And this is a flaw that that I have worked on, and I still work on to today, right? And there's some YouTube videos that I have where I finish editing,
I get the same
and I feel like
totally.
it's pretty good. And then I'm like apprehensive about posting it. Like, should I post this? It's not that good. I could have done so much more.
You can get so self-critical about your
thing holds me
work.
back, right? Yeah. Do you get that too?
It's not good. I haven't found really any good ways to battle it. Like you get better at it over time, but I don't know if there's like a solution that you can implement right away.
Yeah, it's hard, man. Like I still haven't figured it out either, and I could tell you sort of might have the same struggles as me, because I think it was your sauna video or the one where you're like swimming in that ice lake. Like it's not just you going in the water and telling your story. There's like a clip of you walking. There's a clip of the water, a clip of the ice, a clip of you putting the wood into the thing for the sauna, the oven or stove or whatever it is, and then lighting the mat. Like there's all these things that goes into your edit. Then I'm like, oh, okay, as a filmmaker, I can appreciate that, right? Because I can tell like that takes work, man. That's not easy. You got to set up your camera. You got to record this one stupid long clip. You got to go through the editing process and cut all the boring parts out. Like that's so time consuming. And when I watched some of your work, I was like, okay, this guy is someone who puts effort into quality, and that's something that I can appreciate as a fellow content creator, because I love quality work. Like I love quality work. My least favorite YouTube channel is where it's like someone has their phone, turns on the camera, and it's just them talking or vlogging, and there's no cutscenes, there's no edits. It's just like kind of boring. You can tell they just half-assed it and filmed it in half an hour, edited in half an hour, and then just posted it in half an hour, right? It's like done. Whereas I appreciate that longer, well thought out, well planned, well edited content, and that type of stuff really resonates with me. But then again, I'm still struggling with that like perfectionism thing, because if I could create more videos but at 80% quality, like would that be better?
Sure. I mean,
than posting
it's
videos
a balance.
that are at 100% quality that take me twice as long? Like I don't know. Right? I'm still trying to figure out that balance.
More. But I think like for me, it's like I could be posting more, but like I'm focusing on the wrong things. Like I feel like I was just speaking to an old friend of mine that I met for the first time in years, and she was like, oh yeah, I've seen your videos and you put so much effort into them. Like that was like basically the thing she said, that I put a lot of effort in it. And then I started thinking like, yeah, if that's the compliment I get, it's like is that effort misplaced? Like, where should I be putting it in, and what should I be neglecting? Right.
Yeah, it's hard, man. It's because you see so many different YouTubers success, like especially in our niche
Yeah.
or genre. I've seen YouTubers that post one self-development video per month, and they do great, right? And then I've seen other guys that post 3 a week, and I'm just like, but then they do great as well too. So I'm like, wow, like maybe it's not all about quality. Maybe quantity can work as well. But I think it's important to find that middle ground or that balance that makes you the most happy, right? And for me, like I want to love my work. I don't want. I feel incomplete if I'm just posting these half-ass videos, right? I don't feel good about that. It doesn't make me feel happy. It doesn't make me feel good. Like I want to feel good about my work. I want to do things like I said, like that I love and that I enjoy. So putting that extra effort into quality, I think it's worth it for me because it's also kind of like my style and how I like to do things. And I see the same style in your work that you create as well. Now, to be perfectly honest, I didn't watch all your videos, but I did find like the sauna and the ice swimming one the most interesting. Whoa. Because these are two things that I also believe in. And I've been a practitioner of cold showers for 5 years now, I think. Like every single day I've been into cold showers, like even in the winter, like the winter cold water all the way. And it's just like killing me. But this is something I've been so consistent with since 2016. And the interesting thing is I kind of discovered this whole cold temperature therapy many years ago when I was a kid. I visited Germany. I don't know where in Germany, but regardless of that, we went to a swimming pool late at night, right? And so, like a typical swimming pool, you're inside, there's like the hot tub and there's a sauna and I'm just swimming. But there's this weird part where the pool connected to the wall. And then at the wall, it had like these plastic sheets hanging over it. And I was like, what the hell is that? So I went over to it and you could swim through it. And the pool extended outside. And I was like, the hell is this? Your pool goes through the wall outside, and this is like in winter. It's freezing in Germany, right? I'm like, what is going on? So I know I'm just like swimming out there, and I see these people. They get out. They're in the pool part outside, and they get out of the water, and then they jumped in the snow. And I was like, what? Like no one does that in North America. No one does that in Canada. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And then they were standing and they're putting snow all over their bodies, this guy and his wife. And then all of a sudden they started walking away from the pool, like up this like little path.
Yeah.
And I was just like watching them, like, what is going on? And then they went up this little hill and walked into a sauna. And I was like, what? Like that like blew my mind. I'm like, what is going on here? That's so interesting. So I found out about kind of this whole sauna and cold water therapy thing a lot earlier in life, but I never really knew this was something that I would find interest in.
You gotta try.
And it's weird because this is something that I do.
You gotta try it out, man.
That I love to do on a daily basis. Now, maybe not to the extent of you of swimming in a cold lake.
I think there's
but how extreme was that experience?
I couldn't do it currently, but yeah, it was pretty wild. But I think there's like a community in Toronto.
5 minutes?
I was searching for Facebook groups on ice swimming, and I think I found one. So you should check that out. Yes, but yeah, the colder you get, the better. And it's weird, like when the
really
air temperature gets colder, the water almost feels like warmer. Like I've been going a little bit now since it's summer here. There's this place where there's a lake, there's saunas, and then there's one like cold pool or tub. I don't know what it's called. It's 3 degrees Celsius, so it's like almost ice swimming cold. But it feels so much colder than into winter because the air is hot. Like it's crazy.
Oh, I see. Oh, wow, that's interesting. So like the temperature of the air is warmer than the actual water, so the water feels even more painful. Is that what's going on? Oh, we got DC'd.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yo, computer crash.
Yeah, big time.
It's all good, man. No worries. Hey,
Yeah,
let's take that as a sign to finish up the pod. I just realized we're like over an hour. I was lost in
sure.
the conversation.
Yeah, yeah, dude, we could talk so easily for hours.
I know. Did you want to finish your thought on the cold shower? What you were saying?
Yeah, what was I saying? Anyone
Um,
who hasn't tried like cold showers, but especially ice swimming, it's going to make you happier. Like it's a really weird thing. When I did it 30 days straight, I basically had like no negative thoughts in my head during that time. It's I'm saying this a bit exaggeratedly, but like I really noticed the difference. It does something to your mind. Also, it's good for the body, so try it out, people.
all right, you guys heard it here first from Yuna to go try the extreme ice swimming or super cold water therapy. Hey man, this was an awesome chat. I really enjoyed the conversation. Let the people know where they can find your work, your YouTube, Instagram, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Derek. I really enjoyed it too. Uh, you can find me on YouTube, Joona Virtanen, which is JoonaVirtanen, probably spelled that correctly. On Instagram, my username is J. No wait, yeah, J0NU. That's my username. I probably don't have other socials, so there you go.
All right, perfect. I'll post links to both of those in the description if anyone is watching this and listening want to check it out. So yeah, thanks, thanks for the chat, man. It was awesome, and have a good day, brother.
Thanks. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. All right, guys. Peace.
See you.
Peace.
Bye.